On September 11th, 2016, a NASA photograph captured an image that was shared to UFO communities. The photo, taken by NASA's Solar and Heliospheric Observatory, appeared to show a massive four-armed object near the Sun, giving the impression of a giant UFO. As the image circulated online, many who saw it couldn't help but draw comparisons to the infamous alien tripod from H.G. Wells's War of the Worlds. The strange shape of the object, with what seemed like elongated arms or appendages extending outward, stirred discussions across social media, forums, and even news outlets. People wondered whether this was a sign of extraterrestrial life, a rare celestial phenomenon, or something else entirely. The image in question, which NASA released as part of its usual solar observation routine, was quickly picked up by UFO communities who analyze solar and heliospheric observatory photos for any irregularities. Unlike the typical lens flares, reflections, or cosmic rays that solar and heliospheric observatory images occasionally show, this object appeared distinct, symmetrical, and structured. It looked as though it had four arm-like extensions radiating from a central core, making it hard to dismiss as a simple artifact. Its positioning and shape led many to believe that this could not have been a random alignment of particles or a natural space object. The unique formation was especially striking against the vast backdrop of the Sun, further enhancing its seemingly artificial appearance. One of the reasons why this particular image resonated so deeply with viewers was its striking resemblance to the alien tripods depicted in War of the Worlds. H.G. Wells's alien tripods, as described in his novel, are three-legged war machines controlled by Martians, towering over the landscape as they unleash destruction upon Earth. While Wells's original vision was intended as science fiction, his description of a massive, multi-limbed alien machine stuck with readers and became an iconic symbol in popular culture. When the NASA photo circulated, people began comparing this four-armed object to the tripods, and the idea of a lurking extraterrestrial machine gained a certain eerie allure. For many, the association with Wells's creation made the potential of an alien origin feel all the more plausible, fueling theories that this structure could be an interstellar machine or vessel capable of harnessing solar energy. Several theories emerged to explain what this four-armed UFO could be. Among the most prominent was the idea that it was an advanced alien probe or spacecraft observing our solar system, using the Sun's energy to refuel or to study solar activity. This theory was rooted in the observation that the object seemed unusually close to the Sun, where no human-made spacecraft could withstand the intense heat and radiation. If it were indeed an alien craft, it would suggest a level of technology far beyond our own. The notion that such an object could exist so close to our Sun without being incinerated sparked debates among enthusiasts, as many speculated that the craft must have some form of advanced shielding or energy-absorbing technology. Another prevalent theory suggested that this four-armed shape might be a Dyson-like structure. Named after the physicist Freeman Dyson, a Dyson sphere is a hypothetical megastructure built around a star to capture its energy. Dyson speculated that advanced civilizations might construct such structures to harness energy on a grand scale. Though a complete Dyson sphere surrounding the Sun would be visible and obvious, the four-armed structure in the NASA photo led some to theorize that it might be a more partial, movable construct, perhaps a smaller energy-collecting array set close to the Sun to draw power directly. This idea excited many who believed that extraterrestrial civilizations could have developed large, complex machines for energy capture that resembled this object. While many people were open to the idea of an extraterrestrial origin, skeptics offered alternative explanations rooted in the natural sciences and the technical intricacies of solar imaging. Some argued that the object could be a result of pixelation or compression artifacts within the camera's processing system, which can sometimes produce unusual shapes when light or radiation interacts with the camera's sensors. However, those who believed in the UFO explanation pointed out that similar four-armed shapes had appeared in other NASA images over the years, creating a pattern that seemed less like random anomalies and more like recurring sightings. This pattern bolstered the argument that, whatever it was, this object had made multiple appearances near the Sun, suggesting it was not a one-time coincidence. Proponents of the UFO theory argued that these recurring sightings hinted at intentionality, as if an interstellar visitor was making periodic stops in our solar system to monitor or refuel near the Sun. In response to the intense speculation, NASA released a statement clarifying that what people saw was likely a cosmic ray hitting the sensor or a processing artifact, common occurrences in images taken near the Sun. NASA's explanation did little to deter UFO enthusiasts, however. For many, the official clarification seemed like a predictable response aimed at calming public curiosity without genuinely addressing the possibility of extraterrestrial life. This added to a sense of distrust, with some arguing that NASA might be concealing the existence of extraterrestrial technology or, at the very least, downplaying unusual phenomena in space. The image of the four-armed UFO remains a captivating point of discussion among UFO researchers and enthusiasts. For some, it represents a momentary glimpse of something truly extraordinary, a sign of life or intelligence beyond Earth, captured unknowingly in a simple photograph. For others, it stands as a reminder of the power of imagination and the human tendency to see patterns or meanings in random visuals. The appearance of mysterious objects near the Sun is far from a new phenomenon. For decades, UFO enthusiasts and researchers have documented sightings of unidentified objects around the Sun, often using NASA's Solar and Heliospheric Observatory and Solar Dynamics Observatory images as primary sources. These objects, sometimes spherical, angular, or even shaped like massive structures, have spurred extensive debate. Their proximity to the Sun, an intensely hostile environment with extreme heat and radiation, makes the sightings all the more intriguing, as no known human-made craft could survive such conditions. Historically, reports of unidentified objects near the Sun date back to early space observation missions. In the 1950s and 1960s, as astronomers used increasingly advanced telescopes to observe solar activity, some reported strange anomalies, such as small, darkened spots that moved independently of the Sun's solar flares or planetary bodies. These early sightings were often dismissed as optical illusions or limitations of observational technology. The Solar and Heliospheric Observatory, a collaborative project between NASA and the European Space Agency, was designed to study the Sun and provide real-time images of solar activity. Almost immediately after the Solar and Heliospheric Observatory began transmitting images, UFO hunters began spotting unusual objects that didn't align with known celestial bodies, solar flares, or cosmic rays. Some objects appeared to have a structured form, resembling spacecraft or mechanical constructs rather than random debris. One of the earliest high-profile sightings occurred in the late 1990s, when the Solar and Heliospheric Observatory images revealed a massive angular object hovering near the Sun. This sparked the first major wave of theories about extraterrestrial technology using the Sun's energy, a concept that has since become a cornerstone of UFO lore. Some of these objects seemed almost geometrically perfect, leading some to speculate that they might be interstellar probes, alien spacecraft, or even parts of a massive Dyson swarm, a concept in which smaller structures orbit a star to collect energy. This theory suggests that an advanced civilization might have constructed a fleet of small structures near the Sun to harvest solar power. One sighting in particular, often called the Cube UFO, drew significant attention in 2011. A massive cube-like object appeared near the Sun, sparking theories that it might be an alien structure. The cube seemed to be moving slowly across the solar surface and was visible for several frames of SDO footage before vanishing. NASA later explained the sighting as a processing error caused by cosmic rays interacting with the camera's sensors, but the sighting had already become part of the growing mythos surrounding solar UFOs. The apparent structural forms of these objects have led many to reject natural or optical explanations. For example, in 2012, a large, spherical object with a dark center appeared in Solar and Heliospheric Observatory images, and it appeared to be draining energy from the Sun in one frame before disappearing in the next. This led to a popular theory that the object might have been refueling, possibly gathering solar plasma for an unknown purpose. NASA dismissed the sighting as a typical coronal cavity, which is a common feature of the Sun's atmosphere. However, UFO researchers argued that the spherical object's distinct separation from the Sun's surface indicated something more unusual, sparking theories of an advanced refueling station or even a gigantic craft. Critics argue that many of these objects are simply artifacts, errors in data processing, cosmic rays hitting sensors, or digital distortions. These technical explanations have not deterred believers who argue that, given the consistency and frequency of sightings, there must be more to the phenomenon than simple artifacts. While NASA's explanations often rely on well-documented observational challenges, the number of anomalous sightings close to the Sun continues to intrigue both skeptics and believers alike. Theories about these solar UFOs have also drawn from the work of renowned physicists and astronomers. The persistent sightings of UFOs near the Sun have woven a rich tapestry of speculation, scientific inquiry, and imaginative hypotheses. Whether they are cosmic illusions, natural anomalies, or something beyond human comprehension, these sightings continue to captivate the public. Each new discovery, whether supported or refuted by scientific explanation, adds to the allure of the unknown and challenges our assumptions about life and technology beyond Earth. Comet Leonard's visibility is diminishing, but it is not leaving without a final spectacle. Recently, it reached its closest point to Earth on December 12th, providing excellent opportunities for observation. As the comet progresses through the inner solar system, a remarkable change has occurred. The comet's tail now exhibits a twisted streamer-like appearance, while its core continues to grow brighter. However, during the event, NASA captured an intriguing image of an unusual occurrence between Earth and Venus. Online spectators who witnessed the event reported the emergence of a substantial shield-like object during Comet Leonard's closest approach. The camera named Stereo H2 captured this footage, and it is evident that a significant structure emerges between Earth and Venus. Positioned on the left side of the screen, Venus is accompanied by Earth on the right. As Comet Leonard made its way near Earth, an intriguing development occurred. A remarkable construction seemingly arose, resembling a massive structure enveloping our planet. This structure even obstructed some of the comet's tail from reaching Earth, garnering noteworthy attention and speculation. The peculiarity of this video lies in the sudden appearance of a shield-shaped object when Comet Leonard becomes visible. Some speculate that this object serves as a form of protection for Earth, shielding it from the comet or any potential space debris. It is worth noting that this is not the first instance where the stereo camera has detected this mysterious object. In March 2020, while observing the Lagoon Nebula alongside Venus and Earth, an intriguing image was captured. The shared photographs generated considerable excitement, with individuals noting the resemblance of the object to a massive wheel. Furthermore, it seemed to emit a beam in front of it, prompting speculation that it could be a form of protection against space debris aimed at safeguarding our planet. The video captured by the Stereo B spacecraft's telescope, which is operated by NASA, is intriguing due to its direct source. These probes are positioned on opposite sides of the Sun, aiding NASA and other scientists in studying the inner mechanisms of the solar system. They are particularly valuable for observing celestial objects that pass near Earth. As mentioned, this enigmatic triangular entity has approached us on previous occasions. A knowledgeable and neutral audience will find it informative to learn that someone mentioned the sighting of a wheel that resembled the provided image, but NASA dismissed it as unremarkable. What stands out is that the wheel only becomes visible when the comet aligns with Earth. This individual expressed their viewpoint, stating the following: "These images and videos were sourced directly from NASA, leaving no room for doubt regarding their origin. I am completely clueless as to the identity and the process by which this object takes shape. However, NASA have told people that the object in question can be explained, saying that what we are seeing is just a recurring image artifact caused by internal reflections of a planet. They addressed this footage and said the following on Stereo's official website. Some people have noticed a strange triangular or diamond-shaped object entering the field of view of the telescope on Stereo. You can see the feature in question in this movie, moving from right to left, just above the occulter on the right side of the image, and more clearly in this close-up movie. The answer for what this artifact is lies on the exact opposite side of the image. At the same time as this strange-looking feature starts being visible, the very bright planet Venus enters the field of view from the lower left. Notice that Venus and the feature stay in step almost exactly opposite each other across the middle of the detector. This is not a coincidence. The strange-looking geometrical object is actually an internal reflection of the planet Venus within the telescope optics. This effect has been seen many times before. The phenomenon of unidentified objects has been a subject of intrigue for both scientists and the general public. An especially curious subset of these sightings is the one that involves mysterious objects seen near our Sun. These instances, often captured in photographs and videos by solar observatories and space-based telescopes, challenge our understanding and provoke fascinating questions about the nature of these objects. The Sun, due to its extreme conditions and proximity to Earth, is an area of keen interest for astronomers. Solar observations have been conducted using various tools, such as NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory, the Solar and Heliospheric Observatory, and numerous ground-based observatories. During these observations, anomalies occasionally appear. These oddities, often interpreted as unidentified objects by some observers, exhibit unusual characteristics, such as abrupt changes in direction, speed, or even shape. Some of these sightings have suggested massive objects, far larger than any man-made spacecraft, seemingly maneuvering close to the Sun's surface. The implications of an artificial object able to withstand and navigate the Sun's extreme environment, with temperatures reaching millions of degrees and intense gravitational and magnetic forces, are both bewildering and revolutionary, signifying a technological prowess far beyond our current capabilities. However, while these sightings are undeniably intriguing, they also invite skepticism and alternate explanations. Scientists often attribute such anomalies to instrumental artifacts, optical illusions, or natural celestial phenomena. For instance, a common artifact in space imaging is the cosmic ray hit, where high-energy particles interfere with the image sensor to produce bright spots or streaks. Other explanations include the remnants of comets or meteoroids, solar prominences, or coronal mass ejections, all of which can create unusual and dramatic patterns in the solar vicinity. These rational explanations underscore the importance of adhering to scientific methodologies when investigating these sightings. Nevertheless, the continued presence of unexplained anomalies in our solar observations indicates that our understanding of the universe is still far from complete. Each unexplained sighting, whether eventually debunked or left unresolved, contributes to our growing knowledge base and inspires further exploration and inquiry. As the search for advanced intelligence continues, these mysterious sightings highlight an essential aspect of the endeavor. The universe is vast and largely unexplored, teeming with mysteries that we are only beginning to probe. Whether these mysterious objects turn out to be advanced spacecrafts, natural phenomena, or simply glitches in our instruments, their investigation pushes the boundaries of our understanding and brings us one step closer to answering the age-old question, are we alone in the universe?
NASA finds massive gravity anomaly buried under Antarctica. NASA's satellites have noticed a gravity anomaly sitting within a 300-mile-wide crater buried deep underneath Antarctica's ice, seemingly consistent with the giant asteroid. Impact that caused the Permian-Triassic extinction roughly 250 million years ago. The asteroid triggered a mass extinction that lasted nearly 2 million years, starting volcanic flows and hotspots. This crater is estimated to be almost 3 times the Chicxulub crater's size, which is the asteroid impact that killed off the dinosaurs. Scientists believe that this crater was formed even before East Antarctica's coastal Cretaceous formation. NASA and the German Aerospace Center ran a 15-year-long mission to measure gravity anomalies throughout the planet and discover how its mass is distributed and changes over time. The joint mission was called the Gravity Recovery and Climate Experiment, or GRACE, and ran from March 2002 to October 2017. They sent satellites that would detect any subtle shifts in the Earth's magnetic and gravity fields. Gravitational force is affected by mass, so any changes indicate a redistribution of mass, something large enough to alter it. GRACE sent 2 satellites into orbit at the same altitudes, one trailing the other, and circled the poles about 15 times every day. In 2006, a group of researchers examined data from these satellites when they noticed an anomaly below Antarctica's ice. Using GRACE's records, they determined that the anomaly was due to a massive crater that had been buried for millions of years, most likely from an asteroid impact. The discovery has instigated a flurry of theories, with the most popular being the existence of 1930s and 1940s German bases. Theorists claim that Germany built secret hideouts in the continent during that time, evidenced by the multiple entrances that exist around Antarctica. They argue that the Germans were building UFOs because the entrance's size required you to fly in a saucer-shaped vessel. In 1991, the KGB revealed classified documents from the US Navy's Operation High Jump, which proved they had sent numerous missions to the Antarctic during the 1970s. The theorists say that although the Navy claimed they were only researching the continent, they were there to investigate an entrance that supposedly led to the inner Earth. Thousands of sailors and crew were dispatched over the years, allowing rumors of UFO bases, German hideouts, and portals to the underworld to grow. Scientists, though, argue that the mysterious anomaly is an impact crater. The massive Wilkes Land gravity anomaly is about 151 miles wide and reaches a minimum depth of 2,700 feet. Researchers believe that a giant asteroid could have impacted the Antarctic and initiated the Permian-Triassic extinction, which was the largest extinction of life in Earth's history. It killed 96% of all sea creatures and about 70% of the land-dwelling vertebrate organisms, much more catastrophic than what killed the dinosaurs. The collision would have caused drastic climate changes and created a challenging environment to live in, resulting in many species to have lost their lives. Since the crater is covered by miles of thick glacial ice, researchers have not been able to test it or pull samples properly. They have only been able to quickly inspect it based on its magnetic and gravitational anomalies. Scientists have no accurate way to figure out what is buried deep within Antarctica's ice, so it will remain a mystery until they do.
HD 164595. HD 164595 is a star in the Hercules constellation that is strikingly similar to our Sun. The two stars are both classified as Class G stars due to their size and characteristics, and while our Sun obviously has numerous planets orbiting in its fiery gravitational pull, it appears that HD 164595 only has one planet, which makes a complete orbit every 40 days. Any time that a star and planet combination appear to resemble the characteristics of our own, a scientific organization known as SETI, or the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, carefully observes it as a possible location of life beyond our solar system. And while stars of this nature and their respective planets generally just continue as they always have without giving SETI much to go on, HD 164595 is a little different. The star made headlines and raised the proverbial antennae of alien life watchers in 2016, when a very strong signal was detected coming from that region. The signal, which travelled the 94 light-years between the Earth and the star, was still incredibly strong when it reached a Russian telescope trained on the star. An international team of researchers and astronomers immediately banded together to study the star further and attempt to determine what could have caused the signal and if it could mean that the planet-star duo housed extraterrestrial life forms. Douglas Vakoch, an astronomer who is heavily involved in the study of the potential for alien life, said in an interview with CNN that the signal from HD 164595 is intriguing because it comes from the vicinity of a sun-like star, and if it's artificial, its strength is great enough that it was clearly made by a civilization with capabilities beyond those of humankind. While it is hard to imagine a civilization that is dozens and dozens of times more advanced than we are, the truth is that it's highly likely that this could be the case, as our own technologies would not be able to generate a signal of the strength seen emanating from HD 164595. However, researchers do wonder if it is indeed a signal generated by alien life forms. Why would they be targeting our solar system? Some suggest that we might be just as much of a mystery to them as they are to us. Since our own signals would not reach them, it is possible that they do not know we are even here in the first place. And while the implications of the signal being artificial are huge, experts and SETI researchers do admit that the chances of this being a call from aliens is very slim.
Without corroboration from an independent observatory, a putative signal from extraterrestrials doesn't have a lot of credibility, admitted Vakoch. The greatest limitation is that it hasn't been replicated. Before we can give any credence to a signal as coming from extraterrestrials, we need to see it repeatedly to make sure it wasn't just a transient phenomenon. And while the SETI researchers hold out hope that the signal comes again, or the alien lifeforms reach out or signal in another way, the unsettling fact is that our own technologies are not advanced enough to answer the question of extraterrestrial life once and for all. If aliens do exist somewhere out there, then they are going to have to come to us. And if the signal truly was just a fluke, never to be repeated, it will likely go into the records as just another inexplicable element of space creating one more unsolved mystery. NASA space probes discover man-made barrier surrounding Earth. Humankind accidentally protected itself from possibly dangerous cosmic events. An artificial barrier, or bubble as some call it, was found surrounding the Earth. This barrier not only affects weather events in space, but also protects us from dangerous cosmic weather. Human impact on Earth is undeniable, but now we know our technology significantly impacts our outer atmosphere and beyond. As it turns out, the bubble was created by the interaction of man-made technology and space. More specifically, the interaction between high-energy radiation particles in space and man-made radio communications from Earth. The radio waves in question are typically used to communicate with submarines under the ocean's surface and are frequently used in science, engineering, and military operations. As these waves work to reach their destination, they can end up reaching out beyond Earth's atmosphere and interacting with external radiation particles in space. Dan Baker from the University of Colorado Laboratory for Atmospheric and Space Physics calls the bubble an impenetrable barrier. This artificial barrier protects Earth from possible dangers like solar flares or coronal mass ejections. All these phenomena can lead to radiation particles entering the atmosphere, which could interrupt our electrical grids and radio wave communications. So how was the barrier discovered? In 2012, a mission was launched with the sole purpose of studying the Van Allen radiation belts. 5 years later, in 2017, scientists were surprised to instead find a low-frequency barrier that stopped dangerous solar discharges from impacting Earth. The barrier, or bubble, also happens to line up with the inner edge of the Van Allen belts. This information has scientists suspecting that the radio waves used in submarine communications, VLF waves, repel radiation particles. If we stopped using VLF waves, the radiation belts would move much closer to Earth's atmosphere. Right now, the radiation belts are further away from Earth than they were in 1960. Scientists have been discussing how this finding shows our impact on space. We have, without a doubt, made an impact on the Earth, but this barrier may be one of the best things that we have done for our planet. Scientists discover rare asteroid that will follow Earth in orbit for the next 4,000 years. There are millions, if not billions, of asteroids potentially whizzing around in space. Scientists who discover these travelling lumps of rock have plenty of examples to study and learn from. But it is not every day that something truly special shows up. In this case, it is what's known as an Earth Trojan asteroid, which is a small piece of space rock that has the same orbit as Earth. A study only recently published announced that researchers had proven the asteroid's existence and also stated that the rock will be following Earth's orbit for at least another several thousand years. A team of astronomers from the Institute of Cosmos Sciences of the University of Barcelona proudly declared their discovery of 2020 XL5, the second Earth Trojan ever confirmed, after 10 years of tireless searching. 2020 XL5 is believed to be around 0.7 miles in diameter. For context, the first Earth Trojan, 2010 TK7, was 0.2 miles in diameter. The size is important in Earth Trojan asteroids, as the sweet spot allows the rock to balance within Earth's orbit around the Sun. Trojan asteroids are nothing new. For decades, we have been aware of Trojans on Venus, Mars, Jupiter, Uranus, and Neptune. though Earth ones have proven to be more elusive. There have been many previous attempts to find Earth Trojans. Tony Santana Ross, one of the authors of the new publication, said to press, "All the dedicated efforts had so far failed to discover any new members of this population. Spotting Earth Trojans is surprisingly difficult. Because of their distance to the Sun, the window of opportunity to spot them is very small. It is only around sunrise that we can try to catch a glimpse of them. However, scientists have got around this by utilizing huge telescopes in Arizona and Cerro Pachon in Chile to photograph the asteroids. Scientists are interested in Trojans mostly due to their age, as many of them were around during the earliest stages of the solar system. They are effectively time capsules of the conditions for that time. In fact, NASA's Lucy mission, which launched in October 2021, is set to visit 8 different Trojan asteroids in the next 12 years. NASA is set up to explore a massive metal asteroid. We are all familiar with asteroids and are a valuable research material. NASA are beginning to investigate an astonishingly large asteroid reaching a staggering 140 miles in width. This is 16 Psyche, the huge asteroid that NASA is hoping to find the ins and outs of in 2022. Researchers have managed to research the light reflected from the asteroid, and the data suggests the asteroid could contain iron, nickel, or gold within the celestial object. It is no secret that asteroids can be immensely valuable. The only catch here is that by the time asteroids make it to Earth, the atmosphere tends to have destroyed a great deal of the material. This asteroid is estimated to clock in at a grand total of $10,000 quadrillion. For reference, according to Statista, in 2020 the global economy was worth $84.5 trillion. 16 Psyche was first observed in 1852, spied in the main asteroid belt lying between Mars and Jupiter. This places it 3 times further away from the Sun, and it takes 5 years here on Earth to complete one orbit of the Sun for 16 Psyche. Principal investigator from the Arizona State University, Lindy Elkins-Tanton, said that if it does end up being one part of the larger metal core, this would be the first discovery of its kind in our own solar system, telling us about the first generation of early cores. She speculates the above, but clarifies after, "But we don't really know, and we won't know anything for sure until we get there." Research into this asteroid could reveal what materials contributed to the formation of our planets. We have not got too much information on 16 Psyche as of yet. We are yet to have a mission reach the asteroid, though a NASA mission, also named 16 Psyche, is set to depart in August 2022, looking for more answers. Even more difficult, however, is conducting observations from here on Earth. Through our telescopes from home, 16 Psyche appears as nothing more than a fuzzy blip on the screen. Satellite telescopes, like the famous Hubble Space Telescope, are unable to capture a large amount of detail, unfortunately. We have been able to draw some limited conclusions thanks to the work of radar data scientists, who have been able to figure out how the asteroid rotates and that it has a somewhat oval shape. When NASA sends their mission off, 16 Psyche will be observed for 21 months by an orbiter spanning 435 miles above the surface of the asteroid. Elkins-Tanton said, "We don't know what we are going to find. I'm expecting us to be entirely surprised. Hopefully, as we begin to unravel more and more, we can understand the specifics behind the asteroids that keep us company within our solar system." Exoplanet Collision at BD 2307. We have lots of wonderful tools and impressive telescopes at our disposal, including the well-known names like the Hubble Space Telescope or the Keck Observatory. However, one of the more impressive and interesting observatories has been built through a team effort between NASA and DLR, the German Aerospace Center. That is SOFIA, the Stratospheric Observatory for Infrared Astronomy. This is a Boeing 747 aircraft fitted with an infrared telescope on the port side of the fuselage. This telescope is fully decked out for infrared astronomy, including Forecast, the faint object infrared camera for the SOFIA telescope. Forecast, fitted on SOFIA in 2019, spied what could be a truly fascinating discovery. Scientists believe it could have been the collision of two exoplanets. BD 20307 is about 300 million light-years from Earth. It is a double system formed of stars that are crucial to this research. The system is roughly 1 billion years old. By the time a system is this old, we expect all circumstellar dust to have disappeared, though just 10 years ago, observations from the Spitzer instrument suggested warm debris was around the system. SOFIA has collected some new data to add to the discussion. This has shown that the infrared brightness of the debris at BD 20307 has increased by 10% over the course of 10 years. This is a quick development that we do not usually see in an established older system like this. Some scientists are suggesting that the quick developments and out-of-the-ordinary features could point towards a collision of two exoplanets. Alicia Weinberger, a scientist at the Carnegie Institution for Science's Department of Terrestrial Magnetism and lead investigator of the research, explains that the SOFIA observations are incredibly valuable, both in the timescale the changes are shown on and in the rarity of the observation. She said, "This is a rare opportunity to study catastrophic collisions occurring late in a planetary system's history. This research could also help develop our understanding into the development of binary systems, looking at how they evolve. The hope is that this knowledge could then be applicable during research towards the Alpha Centauri triple system." If the unusual activity going on at BD 20307 is in fact an exoplanet collision, more research should be able to help us confirm this. We can then look for these same signs in other parts of our universe and keep an eye out for potential hazards within our own solar system. Some have even suggested that the large axial tilt of Uranus is likely due to a number of collisions. As the research develops, we can hope to draw more concrete conclusions. Astronomers discover hidden trove of massive black holes. Sometimes we can look at something time and time again, still never noticing every detail. Whether it is a missed clue in your favourite film or a seemingly new brushstroke in a painting, this is something each one of us has experienced. Well, it appears that the scientific world is no exception. A research team, led by those at the University of North Carolina, has uncovered a whole host of massive black holes in dwarf galaxies, despite us looking in the areas previously. These massive black holes have been looked past over and over, but now that we know that they are there, they could have a huge potential to help us figure out the details behind the supermassive black hole in the center of the Milky Way. Our galaxy takes the form of a giant spiral, meaning, as our current understanding has us believe, it's made up of lots of small dwarf galaxies and they're merging together. One example of this is the Magellanic Clouds. These clouds are irregular galaxies that appear as an illuminated patch in the sky. They are seen in the south, and they are understood to be dwarf galaxies that will eventually become part of the Milky Way. When a new dwarf galaxy enters our galaxy, there is the potential that it brings along with it a massive black hole at its center. It's currently thought that an inevitable question of when, rather than if, this massive black hole will be absorbed by the supermassive black hole at the center of the Milky Way. While we acknowledge that this is a possibility, in reality, we do not know how often dwarf galaxies contain massive black holes. This is a glaring gap in our current knowledge, as we know very little about how black holes and galaxies grow, develop, and interact with one another. This new research, published in the Astrophysical Journal, helps us to connect the dots as we uncover the black holes we simply had not seen before. Lead author of the study, Magda Polomera, said, "This result really blew my mind because these black holes were previously hiding in plain sight. It can be a fairly difficult process to detect black holes, evidenced by us repeatedly glossing over them. Usually, we can find them when they take in gas, as this results in them growing and makes them glow." Professor Sheila Kanapan, the co-author of the study, likened black holes to fireflies, in that we can only see them when they are lit up. So, if the black holes are not actively growing, then we do not know how many are truly there. Adding to this confusion is that the high-energy radiation characteristic of growing black holes is not exclusively a feature of them alone. New stars can be seen to have the same high-energy radiation. The research team realized that they could test where these signals were coming from, with a different number of tests, allowing us to conclude if it is a young star being formed or a black hole growing that is being observed. So far, this research seems very promising, with a new acknowledgement that there is sometimes more to the picture than what we can see. The theories we currently hold are growing and expanding in size, allowing us to deepen our understanding, and more research will eventually be conducted, hopefully providing further evidence towards what we think we already know. A meteorite crater lake in India just changed colour overnight. In a strange earthly phenomenon, locals, nature lovers, and of course scientists have been pleasantly surprised to discover a mysterious and sudden change in colour of a crater lake in India. More specifically, the lake turned pink seemingly overnight in the western state of India called Maharashtra. Created about 50,000 years ago, Lona Lake was formed as the result of a meteorite crashing into Earth and has since become somewhat of a favourite among tourists and environmentalists, and is located 500 kilometres from Mumbai. It has been reported that the lake has changed colour before. What is striking about this shift is the rapid nature of this colour transformation. Photos were shared widely across social media as the entirety of the lake appeared to be a gorgeous pinky hue, and scientists have tentatively attributed the colour to changing saline levels as well as algae presence in the waters. Going into more detail, they explained that water levels in Lona Lake have been dropping for some time, meaning the concentration of saline has been rising. At the same time, warmer temperatures in the area have stimulated algae growth, increasing their levels to the verge of overgrowth. Almost a cyclical relationship, the algae then turns reddish in these warmer temperatures, providing an explanation for the new colour of the lake. While this is scientifically correct and likely theory given by geologist Gajanan Karat, officials from the state's forest department have also collected water samples to verify and test the exact causes behind this occurrence. Lastly, there is one other theorized factor behind the lake's newfound appearance. Speculation has it that the recent lockdowns, which have put a grinding halt to industrial and factory productions, may have played a part, through the significantly lower levels of pollution seen in the surrounding air. Similarly, less human traffic in the area has had the combined effect of better natural preservation for the lake, albeit a sudden shift to this cleaner environment. Only the results from the lab's tests of the water samples can provide a completely certain explanation. But regardless of how it happened, it goes to show how beautiful and mysterious some of the Earth's natural features can be. Astronomers find 7 dwarf galaxy groups. Dwarf galaxies are small bundles of stars containing between 1,000 and up to several billion stars. This might sound like a lot, but our own Milky Way galaxy has between 200 and 400 billion stars in it alone. This can make these dwarf galaxies up to 1,000 times smaller than our own galaxy. Researchers have never had too much evidence for this theory, though it is often believed that galaxies are formed when dwarf galaxies merge together. This was until 2017, when a research paper was published giving us some more evidence to back up these claims. Data was collected from the Sloan Digital Sky Survey, alongside a handful of optical telescopes. This allowed a team of astronomers to begin their research, a process that began with the observation of 7 individual, distinctly separate groups of dwarf galaxies. The team noted that the conditions of these dwarf galaxies were perfect to observe and see if they could in fact merge, morphing into one larger galaxy, with the possibility of a spiral galaxy like our Milky Way also being considered. This research could give us substantial evidence to support our claims that what we consider mature galaxies today were once much smaller galaxies billions and billions of years ago. Sabrina Stierwalt, an astronomer with the National Radio Astronomy Observatory and the University of Virginia in Charlottesville explained that we know the universe needs to bring small galaxies together to form a bigger one, but that up until now we could not prove it or show how it happened. She continued to say, "For the first time, we have found examples of the first steps in this process, entire populations of dwarf galaxies that are all bound together in the same general neighborhoods." The team analyzed the data gathered from the SDSS in excruciating detail, looking for dwarf galaxies that looked as though they could be interacting with one another. The team were keeping their eyes peeled for pairs that could be part of bigger assemblies of alike galaxies. Further research was then conducted to put these images into perspective, with the Magellan Telescope in Chile, the Apache Point Observatory in New Mexico, and the Gemini Telescope in Hawaii being used to check that these dwarf galaxies are similar distances from Earth, not just aligned, as this could suggest that they are gravitationally bound together. It is hoped that this study provides some more data for future research groups studying groups of dwarf galaxies. This can offer a glimpse into how galaxies are formed and possibly help people to predict future formation patterns. 486958 Arakoth. 486958 Arakoth is the most distant object ever explored and is also known as 2014 MU69 by its original destination. It was discovered on the 26th of June 2014. In the Algonquian language, Arakoth means sky. New Horizons principal investigator Alan Stern claimed the name Arakoth reflects the inspiration of looking to the skies and wondering about the stars and worlds beyond our own. It is situated in the Kuiper Belt, which is relatively similar to an asteroid belt but much larger in size. Many objects wavering within the Kuiper Belt are well preserved and frozen, similar to a time capsule, giving us an inside look on what the outer solar system was like after its initial conception. These small objects within the Kuiper Belt have been mostly unchanged for over 4 billion years. The Kuiper Belt is known as the solar system's third zone. Arakoth is also a trans-Neptunian object. Trans-Neptunian objects are dwarf or minor-sized planets in our solar system that are at a greater distance than Neptune. Arakoth checks in at 4 billion years old. It was discovered by Mark Buey, using the Hubble Space Telescope. The observation was conducted by NASA's New Horizons science team. Mark Buey announced data from Arakoth has given us an indication about the formation of planets and our cosmic origins. We believe this ancient body, composed of two distinct lobes that merged into one entity, may harbour answers that contribute to our understanding of the origin of life on Earth. Arakoth has a red tint that is actually more red than Pluto, making it the reddest outer solar system object discovered to date. Arakoth's amorphous shape is described by NASA as a snowman that's been partially flattened. It is two objects merged into one and is about 35 kilometers long, 20 kilometers wide, and 10 kilometers thick. Arakoth is the furthest object that has been explored by humans. It was identified when the probe was 6.4 billion kilometers from Earth, and it is an estimated 6.6 billion kilometers away from Earth. It takes Arakoth around 293 years to orbit the Sun once. Arakoth could give scientists answers that they have been searching decades for. There are two situations scientists have debated concerning planetary formation. The first scenario is hierarchical accretion, where small grains and pebbles bounce around, occasionally hitting into each other with enough force to stick, making bigger and bigger objects. Eventually, over the course of millions of years, these planets would have compiled matter from random, forceful collisions. The second scenario is cloud collapse, where certain regions of the nebula had a higher density of particles, and these clumps were drawn towards each other until they spontaneously gravitationally collapsed. Unlike the forceful nature of hierarchical accretion collisions, cloud collapse collisions were leading to the planets being born. Dr. Alan Stern, the principal investigator of the New Horizons team, said the imagery shows no signs of violence, no fractures. The two lobes don't look smashed together, leaving room to certify the cloud collapse theory.